it is important to know how you can still do the right things. And my guest joining me virtually now, I'm looking at you with side eye, but I shall forgive you. All right, my guest this evening is Olisadualima ELumelu. Good evening, Olisa. How's your day been? Hectic. See, that's why I said I shall forgive you. I've already seen it.
But it's good to be here. It's good to be here.
Awesome.
Forgive me if I don't mention it, but it's good to be here.
Not to worry, Lagos still will forgive you as well. All right, you know what? We're always looking forward to Mondays. Why? Because it is all about money and how we can make sense of it. So I know that it is something I'm looking forward to. Hey, making those smart choices and making sure that even the holidays that I want to go on, I'm planning properly towards them. So today we're going to be talking about smart financial choices, but more so we'll be talking about how we can build wealth across all income levels. And this is important because normally when you hear income levels, you're only always thinking about top cadre. You're not looking at those on the lower range, but it is good that we're looking at everyone top to bottom and seeing how everyone can save small. Not everything has to go into, our needs. We can also still find a way to invest and save. We don't have to save so much, but save something. Rainy day.
Absolutely.
You never know when it's going to rain. Anyways,
even Hamatan can still rain. So
I heard that it rained in Port Harcourt. So
it did?
Yes, it did.
Wow.
So it's but you know when with the rains, that first rain brings all the. For those who know, they know Agbalumo.
Exactly.
But let's not digress.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's even get into the conversation proper. I want you to help break down why you think one needs to be financially literate, because today's economy and climate doesn't look like it's something we need to be bothering ourselves about. Hey, just get someone on the outside and they'll do the needful for you without even following through. But tell me, why do I need to even know the essence of this?
I mean, it's a very interesting question if you ask me. And I think when I hear financial literacy, a lot of people actually ask me, and I think the first thing that comes around is like a tracker or like a GPS. Right? So just see it as a GPS for your money, right? Now, without it, you're pretty much like a driver that's lost in a city with no map,
right,
and no phone signal.
Trust me, the people are waiting for you. You know those people in those corners.
I know exactly.
I
so
did not
just
say anything.
Dead ends. Dead ends. But in today's economic climate, right? You hear things like inflation, rising faster than gossip. You hear things about saving and all of that. You hear things like save, invest, manage, debt. So it's really not just about survival, right? Think of this way. Your money should be able to work as hard for you as you have worked for it. So financial literacy just helps you, map out, a plan, right, on how exactly, to get your money to work for you, right? I mean, sometimes we, sometimes we go out around in Lagos and all of that, and even when we, I'm still getting to the point you mentioned earlier, even when you're on a bus and the driver knows exactly where you're going, sometimes just pull up your map and you're like, hey, let me, even look at Google Maps or whatever and see, where we're going or where it's taking us to, say, different routes and all of that. That happens when, giving your funds to, a trusted investment, house, but you just really need to know, what's really going on. So that helps you, like, a two-factor authentication kind of thing to understand, how money really works, So the financial literacy is important, really important.
I like that. Two-way, two-factor authentication is very necessary. I've seen that in some spaces, which I shall not further into.
Of course, we do.
Okay. So, Now let's even talk about the low income earners, because for they never think about why they need to save. There's usually no urge for them to save. But can you help explain in practical steps what they need to do in order to build wealth?
Well, I think when it comes, it's a very interesting question you asked me, because when you speak about investing, I always say this every time, that people always have the notion that it's for high income earners, people who have, in quote unquote, short benefit, right? But it's not really like that. Sometimes liken it to planting crops, right?
Okay.
Building wealth on low income is pretty much like planting seeds on dry soil. It's not easy, but it's not impossible, essentially, right? So the first thing I would say is try to monitor what the local currency is doing. In our case, it's naira, right? Track what every naira that you earn, is doing. You'll be amazed how much you'll be able to, save and invest within time. I think the second step, if you ask me, would be start, micro savings, like a micro savings habit.
Okay.
I think for me, when it comes to savings, I thought about a 48-hour rule, where whenever funds come in, I try to take a 48-hour fast on that money. And ask
what do you mean?
That's it. So someone says, "Oh, get the job for me done," and then they pay me #2, right?
Okay.
And then money comes in, or a salary or something comes in.
Okay.
And I ask myself, let me give myself 48 hours to just look at this money.
Okay.
After 48 hours, that first thing that comes to your mind to ask yourself, to say, is this really a necessity, right? Because trust me, if you buy maybe 1,000 airtime every day,
right,
if someone just says, "Hey, Joy, here's 5 million naira," I assure you, I was about to dial the recharge code. That 1,000, you make it 10,000. You understand? Because some new phones.
You say what?
Don't do that.
Okay.
Do your same 1,000, right? After 48 hours, find out if you're willing to step up to something else. You find out that that impulsive purchase or impulsive move or expense, might not be there anymore. Right, and I think really finally it's about invest in knowledge as well, right, and have a quest to know more. You have free resources online that can teach you how to invest, how to save, or like I say, how to savest, which is doing both of them at the same time. Like buying shares, buying funds, all of that. So really, I would say track what your now is doing, how much you're earning. Second of all, having micro savings habits, and a third would just be invest a lot in knowledge and having resources at your beck and call, and knowing exactly how to build that knowledge to help you. That's for low income earners, really, because you have to do little more work. Let's be honest, right? So you cannot just build, like I said, planting in dry soil. It means that you have to water more. You have to till the ground more, right? Compared to when you have loamy soil and all of that. So if you're investing with low income, you have to put a lot of work in. A lot of work in, so that a couple of years you say, I came from nothing, or I had no shoes.
Started from the bottom, now we're on the top.
Mama, I made it. So.
Oh my goodness.
That's it.
Okay, so for the average Joes, the middle class, if there are still people like that, because sometimes now I don't even know if we still have them, but for the middle income earners, what are the best investment strategies? What should they be looking at to improve?
Okay. These are the OGs, right? I think these OGs, they have the dilemma. This is what I think. Okay. I think for middle income earners, right, there's a dilemma between saving for the future and meeting current obligations. There are a couple of years to go with school fees, best schools, Ivy League schools. Meanwhile, you want to see if you want to stay in a high bar area? Do you want to step that down, build your own house? These are things that middle income earners, want to, because they definitely you have to invest, but I think what they need to do would be pretty much like they are like jugglers, right? Managing school fees, rent, trying to save, all of that. Now, the trick is this, prioritize and automate is how I say it. Now, first, create an emergency fund, right? Which is like a safety net, right? It's not your vacation fund, though. It is emergency fund. I know people say they'll fly to one Cancun or is it whatever. No, it's not that. It's an emergency fund, right? Okay. And then second, explore more balanced mutual funds. Right now, these give you the best of both worlds, right? You have growth on one side, and then you have stability on another side, right? That's really it. Lastly, don't sleep on your retirement plans. I think that's another thing we recommenders really need to understand.
Okay.
Right? It can never be too early to start thinking about what your retirement plans are. Right? If your employer matches contributions, that's almost like free money, but you need to keep an eye on what your benefits are going to be doing at the time, right? So your future self definitely will thank you for, doing that. So you need to, understand, how to do that. Yeah, so that's what we're doing, commenders.
Okay. And now for the augurs at the top. And yes, the augurs know that they know all these things, but sometimes they, for lack of a better word, they drag their feet. So, what is the strategy for them to maximize? I didn't say minimize, maximize their wealth. I'm not even talking about building. This is what they built.
So, before we answer this question, we need to seek permission, please, because before you say, what do you know? What do you know about money, please? We apologize ahead. I think for high income earners, right? I think over the years in my career, what I've realized, a lot of times, because you get talking to these people, and then I know they fall into the trap where
they're comfortable.
How I put it, they get comfortable, exactly. Right. And I think inflation is the biggest nemesis, right? When people tell you things like, I used to earn 20 million in 1985, and then, I slept on it, and today it's 2025, and that money is, whatever, it is. But I think the very first thing is textbook answer, diversify.
Okay.
If you have enough, then you can diversify. Do you understand?
Right.
When you don't have so much, you're already diversified already, because if Sapa is holding you, you're already there. But when you have enough, right, you definitely have to diversify and have some stocks, have some bonds. If you can, do some real estate, and I also say when people go into real estate, very importantly, you need to understand that real estate has some land, first of all, not necessarily buildings. Land definitely appreciates. Buildings come maintenance costs, so a lot of more rigor needs to go into that. Right, but land is primarily, something that appreciates in value. Second of all is, you look at what your retirement and tax benefits, would be about. Definitely that's a bit more technical. You need to ensure that at that level, you definitely will have trusted advisors at your beck and call, right? So you have that being done. Finally, invest in businesses and ventures to, create some form of passive income. When you get there, that's where maybe not really private equity, but look for, little SME businesses that you can invest in. You don't really know, which would actually come, to fruition in terms of their plans, right? So these are things that people at the top, can definitely get to do. But I think one common thing there, like I said, is, to diversify, and like I always like to say, remember that, being rich is having money.
Right.
And being wealthy is actually having time. So you get that money to do work for you, exactly. So when you have money, is very rich, but when you have enough time, it's when you're wealthy. So that's really it for high income earners.
Okay. Just us. We could go on and on and on, but hey, time is never our friend when we're talking about how to make money and, make sure that we're doing it right as well. And that's where Mansard comes through to help you make the right investment. So for you listening right now, you're wondering, how can you make the right investment? What you can do is reach out to AXA Mansard on their website, www.axamansard.com, or call toll-free 0700 AXA Mansard. Social media platforms are also available for those who are social media savvy. Well, you have your LinkedIn, you have your Twitter or X, and then you have Facebook. So far, so good. There's no TikTok yet. So, but you can. Okay. That's why I said yet. So it is at AXA Mansard. But on Instagram, it is at AXA Mansard _. And that, Lagos, is how you make the best of your investments. And looking forward to 2025. Whatever level you're on, the most important thing is for you to be disciplined and know how to make the best investments and be wise while doing that. However, we'll catch you up on the other side, because AXA Mansard comes your way Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So, hey, Lagos, I'm going to wear. Stay tuned to Smooth 98.1.
AXA Mansard Safe Cruise. Brought to you by AXA Mansard Insurance PLC. AXA, know you can.